All right, welcome back to Mind and Magic, where we demystify the occult and talk about all things esoteric. Today, I'm going to piss a lot of people off. Hopefully not, but in a polarized world, this is what I expect. Because today, I'm going to be talking about tattoos and why you should consider not getting any, if you haven't already, or not get any more. I'm just giving my take on it and why I don't have any. You don't have to agree with me on this. I'm just going to give you my perspective on it as a magician, but I'm not going to pull any punches. So I'm not wanting to offend anyone, but if I do, that's okay too. Maybe it'll toughen you up. Now, a long time ago when I first started this channel, I may have briefly touched upon the subject of tattoos and why they're not such a good thing, but I don't really think I went in depth with it. But I thought I should revisit this again because everywhere I go, everyone seems to be inked up. It used to be edgy and rebellious to get a tattoo. But these days, everyone and their mother has tattoos. And so it's more rebellious and edgy to not have a tattoo. The people who don't have any ink, such as myself, now seem to be in the minority. And there are reasons for this, which we'll get into. Like right now. Psychologically speaking, there are two types of people who get tattoos. Those who have something to hide and use it as a way of covering themselves up. Those riddled with deep shame of some sort, such as someone who was abused as a child. Bad girls who have a lot of daddy issues, that kind of thing. And typically, the more covered they are in ink, the worse it is, because the more they're trying to cover up. So that's the first type. And the second is those seeking attention, which is more common. And it can range from peer pressure to seeking validation to full-blown narcissism. The most common of which is giving in to peer pressure, which is a form of seeking validation. It's like, oh, they have it and they're cool, so I should get one too. It's monkey see, monkey do. And this is why it's so spread and prevalent in society today. So when I say peer pressure, it's not really that people are putting pressure on them to get one, so much as it is them trying to fit in with everyone else. Because everyone else has it, I should get one too. That's what I mean by peer pressure. And it is a form of seeking approval and validation. So right away, I don't fit into either one of these categories. Now, I used to. I was just as prone to seeking validation as anyone else when I was younger. And I hung with an unsavory crowd. In fact, I even knew a tattoo artist, and we partied at his trailer all the time back in the day. He was always giving people tattoos. There was always plenty of opportunity and incentive to get inked when everyone else around me was, but I just held strong and never got one. But that's not to boast about my willpower or anything. I had Piscean indecision. I couldn't decide on something that I would want to get permanently on my body. And as we know, indecision leads to inaction, which leads to zero results. And in this case, it was a good thing. I am so glad that I didn't get tattooed back then. I don't regret not getting any at all. And it's not because getting tattooed makes you a bad person or anything, even though it may sound like that to my friends out there who are sporting ink. It's not like you get a tattoo and suddenly you're a bad person. No, it's that tattoos are highly symbolic, and you don't want to haphazardly be putting symbolism all over your body. Symbolism is the engine of magic and the language of the subconscious. So if you're going to mark yourself up with symbolism, you best make sure that it is highly positive symbolism. I prefer no symbolism on your body at all, but if you're going to do it right. Unfortunately, I don't see a whole lot of positive symbolism in the world of tattooing, at least when it comes to male tattoos. A lot of skulls, which is symbolism of Saturn and death, because keep in mind, tattooing is a form of branding, which is something that we do to cattle to denote whose property the cattle is, who the cattle belongs to. It's the same thing with tattooing. Not legally, but subconsciously, which is just as important. Now, the worst tattoos that people could get are like corporate logos, like Taco Bell. I've seen people get paid sponsorships to do this, to be like a walking human billboard. displaying the ink of their corporate master. They're promoting a brand with a brand, saying that they're the property of Taco Bell. And you may think, well, they don't really belong to Taco Bell. It's not like they're going to come and confiscate their body away or anything. Well, that's true. But you don't want to symbolically and energetically bind yourself to that other entity, corporate or not, so that their misfortunes also become your misfortunes. We've discussed sympathetic magic at great length, and tattooing is a form of sympathetic magic that the vast majority of people don't even realize that they're practicing. And so I'll just pose the question, why would anyone want to put a permanent mark upon their body that will serve as a misfortune magnet? So I'm not telling you not to get a tattoo if you have your heart set on it, even though it's the only way to really be sure. What I am saying is make sure that you're not permanently tying yourself to negative symbolism. Everyone else doesn't have a clue, but a magician should know better. You know, E.A. Koetting was around a long time without a mark upon him. And then he got all inked up and look what happened. Now, I'm not saying that's the direct or only cause of his misfortune, as it can't be proven that it was, but these are the things that I look at as a magician. Now, you mark yourself up with negative symbolism and then negative things happen to you. Big surprise. And I'll be the first to say that what happened to him wasn't fair at all. But universal laws and principles don't care about that. If you vibe with negativity, you are going to attract negativity. So what's another reason that tattoos may not be such a good idea? Well, the scripture forbids it. Your body is considered the temple, and you're not supposed to desecrate the temple. The same book that forbids homosexuality also forbids tattoos. You shall not make any gashes in your flesh or incise any marks upon yourselves. Leviticus 19:28. That's why I get a kick out of young preachers or pastors who are inked and rally against homosexuality when the same exact book of the Bible that they're drawing from forbids their tattoos. That would be my opening salvo against them in response. Whether you agree it's right or wrong, almost everyone agrees that the hypocrisy isn't. But luckily for them, there is a biblical remedy to rectify the forbidden ink that they have put upon themselves. As Matthew 5:30 states, "If thy right hand offendeth thee, cut it off and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell." So, depending on where they got the ink, there still may be hope. Now, please do not cut off any limbs and say that Frater told you to do it. I'm just quoting scripture, which was written long before I arrived on the scene. And most people who didn't have such a strict Christian upbringing, such as myself, probably didn't even know that it's forbidden in the scripture to get ink. And unfortunately, scripture doesn't care. It doesn't say, if you didn't know this, don't worry about it. That's not the way the Bible works. I mean, even these young pastors and preachers don't seem to know it, because I see more and more of them having ink, and they're not supposed to have that in their profession, unless they're doing what most pastors and preachers do and just cherry pick what they like and leave the rest that they don't. And that is one of the biggest problems in Christianity today, the cherry picking and choosing. So that is a little bit of why I don't have any ink, and why you may choose not to get any either, or any more, or at least put more thought into it. You would hear people with full sleeves of ink saying that people would judge them from their tattoos, although now it's more widely accepted, so now they have to turn to wilder things such as body mods, nose piercings, and earlobe hoops, like they're straight out of Apocalypto. But yes, people will judge you on these things. And it's not so much a thought process of this person's a bad person, although you very may well be. It's more along the lines of, does this person make good life decisions, which you have provided them evidence to the contrary? That's why it would be harder to get a job or get a promotion and things of that nature. But these days it's less about if you have ink and more about where is your ink. Because if your face is all tattooed up, unless you're going to be the next star rapper or join the circus, it is going to limit what you're going to be able to do. And I did a whole video on self-imposed limitations of this nature. And that's about it. I want to thank you for listening, especially if you have ink and didn't agree with me. I love you all regardless whether you have ink or not. Join me on social media. The links are in the video and in the description. And visit mindandmagic.com, where I have programs and courses on everything magical and mystical. This is Frater Xavier, and I'll see you next time. Take care.